Greetings, dear assorted listeners! Welcome to another episode of Captain Casual's Rambling About. You're listening to Amalia, and today I shall ramble to you about Neurodimensional Expedition, our new song. So off we go. Alright, Neurodimensional Expedition is a bit more of an experiment than usual, even for us. See, not only did we try some curious stuff with the song itself, but we also have had some changes to our workflow happening in the background, which we'll get to in a bit. But for starters, the song itself. How did it come to be? Well, Neurodimensional Expedition started off as a completely different piece. We originally intended to do a sort of space opera-esque big piece like some sort of a space movie soundtrack, if you will, with a bit of inspiration from the 40k universe, which is where the sort of shaman drum comes from. But it all turned out quite differently, as you'll hear. Basically, this whole song grew out of that thundering drum in the background. That's an acoustically recorded, again, it's called a shaman drum. It's a big octagonal sort of hand drum. It's a cow skin stretched across a wooden frame. Obviously, we processed the sound a fair bit, so it ended up with that massive big thunder sound, right? To be fair, we did actually struggle with that at a later point in the song's creation because, well, trying to fit that into the mix without it muddying things up was quite difficult, and yeah, we did our best. We figure it turned out alright. Actually, the song's got a lot of acoustic stuff going on, come to think of it. There's a cabasa too, you can hear a shaker in the background with a pretty wild delay effect on there. The moment we stumble across that delay for that shaker, we just couldn't resist keeping it. Oh, and there's also that sound at the start of the song. I shall reveal our secret. What you're hearing there, right at the start, the sound, what that is a tongue drum, a steel tongue drum, and what we did is we took one of the little rubber mallets that you normally play it with, we span it round so we have the wooden handle bit, and then we circled it around the drum, which made that noise. Michael found that one by accident while just fooling around a bit, and it was so interesting and weird that, it went into the song as an intro sequence. But yeah, we mentioned some changes to our workflow and how we organize things, which we'll take some moments to talk about here, a little bit of a channel update, if you will. You may have noticed, for instance, the art for Neurodimensional Expedition. You'll see that one a bit more often in the future. You see, we kinda looked at our musical work lately and sort of reassessed our priorities, and generally we found that we'd like to simplify some things so that we can focus more of our time onto actually making actual music. You gotta consider that much as there's two of us, in mind, we're physically one guy and we have a full-time job to pay the bills, so we really only have so much time for music creation. And all of the stuff like making visual art, marketing, even making videos like this, does take up a load of that limited time we have. So we wanted to shift our priorities a bit and focus much more on making actual music. So for visual art, what you'll be seeing going forward is that when we put out a new song, we'll usually use that new bit of art, right? It's designed to be reusable. It's sort of I don't want to use the word generic, but I suppose by definition that is the term. It's our generic art for new music, right? It's reusable. It nicely presents what we want to present, and yeah, we wanted to move away from AI art because it just looks kind of AI art sends a bad message, I feel, and paying artists as much as we'd love to do it, it's just not really in the budget right now. That's why we pivoted towards the sort of minimalistic silhouetted art style we've got going right now, because we can do that ourselves. And, you know, there's also just the fact that if we have pre-made stuff like that, it doesn't take time out of our schedule, which, you know, again, our schedule is very limited in terms of time. You know, so coming up with art for every piece, coming up with a visualizer for every piece and all that, it just takes too much time that we'd rather put into making more and better music, right? The same thing goes for visualizers and rambling about episodes. Going forward, we're not going to do these for every single song because, well, sometimes we just don't have enough to say to justify making a video, let alone coming up with some kind of special animation for each one. I mean, basically, bespoke artwork, visualizers, and song-specific rambling about episodes are something that we'll be saving for those times when we create a song that we feel is really special. That's not to say, of course, that you should skip songs that don't have any of that, of course. You know, we've yet to make a song that we properly dislike. I mean, okay, Pebble Beach was a bit meh, but shush. It's just that when you see a song with unique artwork in the future, a rambling about episode, or even a full-on visualizer, you know it's a special one. You know it's, you know, a piece of work, a piece of music, I should say, that we really, really like. You saw what that looks like actually with the release of Onward and Up. We felt really inspired with that one, and yeah, we put together a bit of an actual animated thing that time. It's simple, but you know, it's within our means to occasionally create that sort of thing when we have something special. And hey, plenty of artists do this sort of thing, you know. I should say plenty of musicians do this sort of thing. It's not like every song ever gets its own music video and background documentary done, right? I mean, obviously we're a bit smaller scale in that in any case, but, you know. All that being said, you might still get the occasional episode of Rambling About that isn't specifically tied to a song, if and when we feel inspired to talk about a certain topic. It'll mostly be music related in some way, but, you know, it's entirely possible that we'll decide to talk about something else once in a while, like books or games or Toblerone. Oh wait, we've done that one. While we're doing a bit of a channel update, actually, just want to mention that our short series, Drum Beats, is doing pretty well, both in terms of getting some listeners here and there, and also in its intended role as being a sort of fun side project for us. It's doing really nicely in that regard, so yeah, seriously, you have no idea how nice it is to be able to take a break from a big project in order to just put together a couple of these small little creative outlets in between, you know, the big burst of like, yes, we have to put this whole song together. It's really nice to do that every now and then, and yeah, we've had a blast making those, and they've been doing okay in terms of listeners. If you haven't been following them, we'll hopefully remember to put a link somewhere for you. But yes, dear listeners, that will do for today's ramblings. We do hope you enjoyed today's show and found it interesting. Maybe even interesting enough to have a closer look at those like and subscribe buttons. That would be most kind. Also, check out all of our music, of course, and follow our socials if you'd like. And leave a comment letting us know just how much you appreciate the new song, or how much you despise that we're having to make changes. Either way, it feeds the algorithm, you know. But that will be enough from us. Till next time, dear listeners, stay safe and have a good one.